Okay, welcome everybody to our, what is today? May, the year go by so fast. May 14th, 2024. So this is our normal monthly public meeting. We have a lot on the agenda this evening, so I'd like to have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Tonight we are going to reintroduce the disability tax exemption for the public hearing. So do I have a motion to go into the public hearing and public comment section?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anybody that wants to talk about our requesting for disability tax exempt public hearing, I can reintroduce this if you would like. I'll give a quick summary in 1 second. So this is local law, I don't know what number it would be, but for 2024. It's a resolution to adopt a local law amending Chapter 101, the taxation to provide a new Article 5 thereof entitled Exemption for Persons with Disabilities and Limited Income. Whereas pursuant to Real Property Tax 459C, the Village of Rhinebeck is authorized to grant partial property tax exemption to up to 50% of the assessed value of real property for individuals who reside in the Village of Rhinebeck with respect to persons with disabilities who have limited incomes as defined. Whereas the Code of Village of Rhinebeck, Village Code, does not presently contain an article providing such exemption, whereas the Board of Trustees proposed local law incorporating those provisions of RPTL 459C into local law, amending Chapter 101 of the Village Code to provide such exemption. Whereas the Board of Trustees has determined that the proposed law is best described as a local legislative decision concerning routine administration and management and type 2 action under State Environment Quality Review Act. And whereas the Board of Trustees held a hearing back on today, May 14th, during which the public had the opportunity to comment on the local law and has addressed all comments raised. So the public comment session is open. Hearing none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public comment section.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Continue with the public hearing. So now to the board. Any thoughts or considerations from the board?
Did that worked out?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hearing none, do I have a motion to pass this resolution dated May 14, 2024? Therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby adopts a local law amending Chapter 101, taxation to provide new Article 5, thereof entitled Exemption of Persons with Disabilities and Limited Income.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make is there a motion to close the public hearing for
Make a motion. So moved.
second? Eleanor second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
So
That's very confusing.
Keep it.
you keeping up with us?
Who seconded?
Eleanor?
Thank you. Is it coming?
No. Okay. Next on the agenda is the CCA public hearing. Is there a motion to open the public hearing for the community choice aggregation?
So moved.
Second? Rick?
Technically, that doesn't start till 6:15.
You're right.
All right. Floor show.
Yeah. The performances for 10 minutes, song.
How are you all feeling after going
Would you like
through?
to redact that motion?
Well, no, we'll just hold it for another 10 minutes.
All right, who motion?
I made a motion.
It's time for the Rhinebeck talent show.
We can get into other business if the board so approves. We can move forward to some other business and come back to that. All right?
No, and no one seconded on that?
Ready, second.
All right. So I'm going to move forward and talk about are, well, let's move forward to some good things. Thank you. We always like to recognize people who have achieved some level of recognition. And in this case, our Rhinebeck Fire Department, our Village of Rhinebeck Fire Department, EMS, has received some well-worthy and well-noted acclamations for their EMS services. So with that, I'd like to, excuse me, I'd like to acknowledge Heather Fraley, who also with NDP and the Village of Rhinebeck Fire Department was provided the ALS Provider of the Year. Congratulations, Heather. Well done. Don't stop there. I'd also like to continue the acknowledgement of Heather Fraley, also with NDP and the Village of Rhinebeck Fire Department EMS, as Registered Professional Nurse of Excellence. Congratulations to Heather. And in our fire department, Jeff Cotter has been acknowledged for receiving the Harriet C. Weber Leadership Award. Congratulations to Jeff. And then Doug Amy, who was awarded the Excellence of EMS Quality and Safety for Dutchess County 9/11 Group 3. So congratulations to all, very, very well deserved. We're so thankful you are on our team and service to the Village of Rhinebeck.
Hi.
Public comment. Anybody here for public comment? Roger.
For a question of curiosity, so I believe there's some revisions on salaries that you're going to talk about later today in the budget. And I was just curious, why was the April 1st budget meeting canceled if there seems to be this continual churn and revisit of the budget?
I don't remember April 1st budget meeting.
You canceled it?
Martina, help me out. I don't remember why.
I think in the public comment it was that the budget had been settled.
There was no scheduled meeting for April 1st.
I think because you had gone through all of the departments at that time and had gone through the budget.
So we most generally set a budget schedule, and what we're saying is we got through everything we needed to do and no longer needed the April 1st meeting.
There was a proposed budget meeting on April 2nd.
Oh, April 2nd.
Everything was already done at that previous meeting on the 28th of March.
So the line items for the salaries remain the same as in the budget, but the board had some discussions to do.
Because if I recall correctly, the salary recommended for the judge was $20,000, and then it was changed to $15,000 or $16,000. I think the adopted budget is now $16,000. So was that discussed outside of the public hearing?
That was passed by amendment here at the next village board meeting.
The public hearing.
That was a mistake on our part. We consolidated two line items that should have not been consolidated, and we had to separate those two line items apart.
So you reduced
Two budget line items.
So how is that related to reducing the judge's salary recommended salary from 20 to 16?
So do you remember what the second line
Yeah,
item
the
was?
second was for non-employees for
Right.
4,000.
Right, so we had combined the fees non-employee for 4,000 in with the 16,000 that was the salary for the judge. Zeroed out that one line item, which we shouldn't have done because we need that 4,000 for fees non-employee, and inadvertently added it to the salary, and we needed to amend the budget to fix that. So those two line items were separated to 16,000 and 4,000.
So it was inadvertently, the judge's salary was inadvertently cited at 20,000, is that correct?
It was mistakenly reported in the budget as 20,000, correct.
Is that what the court recommended for their budget?
The judge had recommended that, but when we went through the budget process removed that and made it 16,000 because we needed the 4,000 in the fees non-employee to clear out the budget.
Okay, so the board decided not to accept the judge's recommended budget.
We decided not to accept the recommendation of $20,000 from a $15,000 increase to $20,000 and amended that to be $16,000.
Is there a reason for the rejecting the judge's recommendation?
It's a 6.6% increase at $16,000.
Yeah, but he hasn't had a raise since,
Roger,
Over
this
10
is
years
not, it's not question time, this is public comment time.
Right.
well, you're entertaining the question,
I'm
so.
not, no, actually, we're not.
Well, I've answered, but we've answered it. You keep asking the same question, Roger. So we amended the budget and approved and adopted the budget as it stands.
Okay. And no reason given for rejecting the recommended budget? Okay, thank you.
That's our discussion.
Kathleen?
Just a very quick question.
Introduce yourself, Kathleen,
Hi.
please, for the record.
Yes, Kathleen,
You
resident,
have to speak real close to the mic for it to be picked up, I'm sorry.
Kathleen Evans, resident of Rhinebeck. The reason why I'm up here is a very quick question. I am wondering where on the village website would I find comments made by the public? I can't find them, and even wiser minds than me cannot find them either. So where are they?
There's not a section on our website that hosts public comment. It's actually up on the cloud specific to whatever comment they're commenting. Unless it's a private confidential comment, then it goes directly to the board. So like, for example, I received a comment for the disability tax exemption tonight. I uploaded that onto the cloud as correspondence.
And that would be under that little folder.
Yes.
Okay.
But on the actual village website, there's not a section that lists public comment. There's a space available for you to make public comment.
Correct. Is that, well, this isn't time and place, but that might be something that it would be easier to find them all in one spot. I'm not sure.
That's
What
a
other
possibility.
people do. Okay. Now I know where to look. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public comment, and I'm going to go back to right on time, the CCA public hearing, which is already open. Is there anybody here for comment on the CCA?
Yes.
Victoria?
Hi. Okay, I have a brief comment. Here on behalf of 118 East Market Street LLC to request that you amend the definition of eligible consumers that you're proposing to exempt two-family dwellings, three-family dwellings, and multifamily dwellings, or users living within those types of dwellings. A major theme in the new draft comprehensive plan is the lack of affordable housing. While reducing greenhouse gas emissions is a laudable goal, the additional cost of electricity under the CCA, or likely additional cost, I know that you don't have a provider yet, will increase the cost of living in the village. If you look at current rates, as of May 10th, the Central Hudson rate per kilowatt hour is 0.07982, and 12-month average was 0.08453. If you compare this to Joule Community Power, which is the default provider of energy in the town of Rhinebeck and lots of other communities in the area, users are automatically signed up for 100% renewable energy at a price of 0.1224 per kilowatt hour. That is about 46% higher than Central Hudson's current rate, meaning that a $100 energy bill balloons to $146, and in the summer months, if it's a lot of heat, or in winter, if you have electric heat, $200 becomes $292. It also makes it more costly to convert to electrical heat, cars, etc. The requirement to opt out of the program can be burdensome and may be misunderstood by tenants. The village should not be increasing the cost to live in the village during this time of increased housing costs. So again, just limiting the request to the definition of eligible consumers to exempt multifamily properties.
So Vicki, just one first of all, people do, there will be, if we do this, if we could do it, there is a large campaign that comes to inform people what the program's about and how they opt out. There's a pretty robust process. The other thing is you have to be a little bit careful about the math for the electric bill, because frequently a lot of your electric bill is service and delivery charges. So that, you gotta cut the
can't
bill in
just
half. So a
multiply.
$100 bill is actually $50 in electricity and $50.
Well, that's true, that's true.
And
There
so
should
they
have been a
figure that.
deduction of $35 and then the 46% added. But either way.
No, but
I have
but it makes a
$200 energy
difference.
bills
It's
that
not,
goes
it's not gonna
into
raise
it.
your bill. It doesn't, not gonna raise your bill.
Can I just?
Well, I mean,
We can-
it does raise
It doesn't raise your bill,
bill.
but you do have an opt-out. And I guess
Factually.
the question is, I don't know, maybe your landlord knows, are generally people pay for their own electricity in these apartments, or is it the
So-
landlord that provides?
I mean, in this particular apartment, I believe it's the landlord paying, and then that cost is gonna get passed on in the form of
Or they
increased
opt
rent.
out.
So the landlord could opt out.
Or in some of the properties, the tenants have individual meters, in which case they are responsible for paying, and then they have to understand the form and opt out. And, you know, this program is not the first in the area, it's been ongoing, and I do know, though, that people, especially people that live in apartments that don't always understand the mailing, maybe speak English as a second language, do have trouble opting out.
But you can't compare the Central Hudson bill, you know, with 100, with who knows what percent renewable versus 100% renewable. That's not fair.
Well, that's
I
the
mean, because
default.
That's the default, but you don't have to do it. You can, like in the town, you can do 50% or something.
But you have to affirmatively understand that you have that choice, and then
The
you
other
have to
thing,
make that choice.
I went home because I was at the town presentation, and my Central Hudson bill is, the majority is Central Hudson, not the electricity. So we're talking more like 75% is the, you know, Central Hudson versus 25%. I mean, check your bill, but I don't want to get quoted on that, but it really is a much smaller
I
percent.
mean, if you just look at the kilowatt hours, it is a 46% increase. I understand the delivery charges are going to stay the same. So again, just asking that you consider exempting multifamily properties, two-family properties from the program.
What about those tenants in multifamily buildings that would like to take part? So they wouldn't have an avenue.
Can't we create an opt-in for those tenants? Or does, I mean, can the program be tailored so that they can opt in, should they want?
It's my understanding that they're all opt out, so you have to opt everybody in first, and then people can
Yeah.
opt out.
I mean.
By state law, not by anything that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a point well taken that people need to be, we need to make sure, whatever we decide, that we do a very good job of informing people what their actual options are. That's
Right, I
an
mean-
important point, yes.
You'd want to make sure that the mailings go out in multiple languages and all
Yeah.
sorts of things. But in general, just the process can be burdened, so asking that you exempt the generally lower income housing in the village, which is multifamily properties and three-family properties. Thank you.
Consider it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vanessa, is this something that we can set up with the structure when we get to the point of adopting a provider? Because we're not doing that tonight. Have the provider make these decisions.
Of just opting out, automatically opting out of the class of people, I don't know. That
No,
would
no,
be
not
something
a class, but, I don't know, following up on the request. I don't necessarily agree that we need to do it for everybody, because not everybody's gonna be the same as that individual property owner. So to adopt a regular class for it is be difficult, but I don't know what the provisions, someday when we get to a provider, how they handle that communication to, is it to just, here's my point, does it just go to the landlord? Or does the information go to the tenant so that the tenants can make a decision?
I think
That's
that's
where I'm
anyone
going.
who's getting a bill currently.
Right.
So then that would be just the landlord,
Well,
Or the
some
ratepayer.
tenants get bills directly if it's sub-metered.
if they're paying the bill.
Right.
Correct.
It's whoever is paying the bill.
Right.
And it's a pretty robust program.
I know, but here's my question is if it's the landlord paying the bill for 5 tenants, that
Right.
person is making the decision for 5 tenants.
Mhm.
And one of those tenants may say, I want renewable energy, I want to be on the renewable energy. And if the landlord opts out, they don't get a choice.
Right,
Right,
right. There's
because the
no way to meter
landlord's
it.
paying the bill,
Right.
so.
Yeah, there's no way to meter it. It's not
And
metered.
there's no way for the, yeah,
You'd
okay.
have to set up
I
a
just want to try to
separate-
make that clear to everybody that the landlord would be making the decision for all of those tenants at that point.
Yeah, if the landlord's the one who pays the bill. Yeah,
So it's a ratepayer.
yeah.
Okay. Any other comment? Susan? How are you this evening?
I'm okay, how are you?
Good.
I know I'm only supposed to have 3 minutes, but I have a few questions, I'm sorry. Susanna Renzi at 11 Manor Road in Rhinebeck. My first question is something that's in your authorizing legislation. It says eligible consumers will have the opportunity to have more control in predictable monthly bills. And I'm just curious, like, how do you know that the bills will be predictable?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Okay?
So, one of the differences with a CCA is that you are signing a contract for one rate. So it's not like Central Hudson's rate where it currently fluctuates with the market. So typically a contract is at least a year, sometimes 2 or 3 years. So you do have every month, it's the same
Okay.
rate for the electricity charges.
But your electricity could vary still pretty.
Right, your total amount of your
Dramatically.
bill could vary depending on one month you're using a lot of electricity and then the next year.
I think just to clarify something that's not terribly transparent to people, which is every month, Central Hudson charges you a different amount for electricity, depending on what it, and that can be as high as the 12, it can be as low as 7, I mean, it's all over the place. So the idea is here that you're locked into one rate, so if you know what if your electric usage is relatively constant, then you're gonna have a relatively constant bill.
So will Central Hudson still be reading the meters? with this?
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
still,
They
yeah, they
still
have to,
do that?
yeah,
Okay,
you still have to, they still have to record your consumption
got it.
in order to bill you.
So that would still be through Central Hudson, that's not coming from the CCA?
Right, Central Hudson's still the delivery mechanism.
Got it. Well, my other question, and Vanessa, I know I've talked to you about this before, but I still haven't entirely wrapped my head around how this works. So if you presently have renewables through Central Hudson, and the CCA goes into place, that can replace, or how does that, when you sign up for, or you don't opt out, I guess? What does that mean? Does that mean that now it's just you're signing this contract for a rate instead of having it be more variable with the renewables you already have?
Yeah, you could switch over to the CCA where you have one consistent rate. I think what you're talking about is what they call an ESCO, which is, a service that goes out and buys renewable
Right.
energy and then,
Right, your
Has to deal with
was it
system.
customer choice or something they call it,
Right.
I think? Yeah.
Green Mountain, Clean Energy, those are called ESCOs. So you wouldn't have both at the same time, you would choose either or. You could opt out and stick with what you're doing. If you prefer it, it's up to you.
Okay. And then, so what you're saying is yearly you'll get a new contract, basically like the way the oil company would do the contracts?
There's no change in your experience as a consumer. You just still get your Central Hudson bills. You're still paying your Central Hudson bills. The contract is with the village
Oh, okay.
and the CCA provider. So it's if we pass this legislation and if we go out for RFP, if we find an administrator to work with and find us a good deal, then it would be us as the village board signing that contract, not you
Okay.
as an individual.
I think that's all the questions I have right now.
Good question.
Thank you.
So we want to be clear, though, that tonight we are not going out with an RFP to select a provider at all. So tonight, the only thing that we're trying to do is what is required is we need to pass legislation to enable us to be able to do that. Okay? Any other comments? Hearing none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public comment section.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public hearing still remains open for discussion on anything relating to the resolution to adopt a local law for community choice aggregation.
So I think, as Mayor said, I just want to reiterate, this is a step in the process to enable us to move forward, to get to the point where the next step would be actually, we're putting together a committee that would actually draw up a request for proposal, think about the community's needs. That request would then come before the board. There would be adequate chance to talk about it. The board may or may not like the bids that we get back. And then we'll have to see what we're doing here. And a lot depends upon the information that we get back over time. So really what we're doing here is we are moving the process forward. We're not yet committed to creating a CCA or anything like it, but we are trying to do our due diligence to find out if it's the right thing for Rhinebeck.
I have a question because there's that provision,
You might want to pull the mic closer to the two of you because that's,
there's a provision there about the village collecting fees. Could you clarify, because the town is not collecting fees?
That's the I looked at it, that's the administrator fee. The administrator does collect fees. There's the person, or what's the proper name for them?
The
The
administrator.
The administrator does collect an administration fee.
So
It's
that
built
would
into the
be-
rate.
We would go out for an RFP for an administrator. And in this area, it's typically Jewel, as
That's what I was
Victoria
wondering.
mentioned.
Right, so we-
Or it would be MHET, Mid-Hudson Energy Transition. And so the enabling legislation does allow them to collect fees. That's typically baked into the contract. So it's not like an additional fee that consumers see on their bill. It's like part of the rate.
But it's not something we're collecting. It's
Not
something-
as the village board,
Yeah,
no.
just because the way it sounded, it made it sound like we could collect something in addition, and that concerned me.
No, this is for their overhead.
right. We don't have the wherewithal to collect that fee.
That's what I thought. We don't want to
Yeah.
get involved in that. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I'm guessing that it's written like that because we're writing a contract with them to do it. So we have the permission to do it, and basically then we're passing it to them in the contract. That would be my best guess.
So one of the things we have not talked about a lot is this advisory committee.
Yeah.
So I think we should somewhat explain, because the advisory committee is going to be the group of citizens that are going to go out and work towards the program. How are we going to form that? How many are going to be on it? What are, so is that, for the public, is there a definition of that?
Yeah, so the advisory committee can be staff or members of the board or residents who come forward. I would say we probably want 5 to 8 people. What were you thinking?
5, yeah.
5 people? Yeah, the goal would be for them to probably hear comments like Victoria's comment or other questions like Susanna's, and put together a proposal for the board to inform the creation of this RFP. The process for finding people, I think that would be Martina putting out an item through the public noticing and request people to submit. If there are people out there that have some expertise in clean energy and Central Hudson and the like, that would be fantastic.
and maybe post on the website.
Yeah, we'll post on the website.
Oh, yeah. Anything else,
Social media.
anything we post goes on all our media,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. And the idea is that this is an advisory committee, probably once the whole process is through, and if we move forward, if we get a contract, they'll probably go quiet for a couple of years. So
Do we need
it's,
to rewrite it.
Right,
Right.
until we need to, re-up a contract or go out and do something different.
Although there is some oversight of the administrator as well. I don't know if we want to put that in the.
Yeah, there's a yearly report that comes from the administrator summarizing the state of the program. Yeah, so that's something that they would probably handle as well.
Okay.
I just want to make this point for the public so that they're aware that we're going to include a group of people to help us go down this path, right?
So, do you want that? I mean, we can make that committee, Vanessa, myself, and three additional citizens.
I don't think we have to set that today. Today, we're just passing the legislation, and
Okay.
that's not defined in the legislation.
Okay, but we
So-
do want to ask Martina at some point too.
At some point, I think we're going to come forward with a recommendation,
Okay,
which is not going to be tonight, to create this advisory group.
okay, next step.
Next steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to be focused on what we need to do for tonight, not next steps yet.
Gotcha.
Any other comments from the board? Discussion from the board? Is there a motion to accept the resolution for adoption of a local law?
So move.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
Got it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Karen, treasurer's report.
Okay, treasurer's report, balances are for the period ending April 30th. The general fund ended the month with $163,517.55. The water fund ended the month with $150,733.15. And the sewer fund ended the month with $137,431.23. Our New York class investments in all funds together earned $11,222 this month. Vouchers presented for payment, there are quite a few, just end of our fiscal year is May 31st, so we tried to get a lot of them done, and I'm going to be hounding all the departments to get all their May bills in June so we can close as soon as we can. In the general fund, the prepaid and the May bills total $151,032.35. In the water fund, the prepaid and May bills total $44,681.85. In the sewer fund, the prepaids and May bills total $32,012.72. We had a capital expense for the police department for $1,249. We paid off a bond anticipation note for the water system improvement plan of $440,215.12, of which $425,000 was principal. The bond for the water system improvement project had bills this month totaling $25,208.13. The bond for the wastewater treatment plant sewer upgrade had bills totaling $33,060. In the escrow, 6 Mulberry Street had bills of $8,420.99. Grasmere had a long kind of outstanding bill of $861.25. I do need to check the status of 6 Mulberry Street. However, Grasmere is in arrears of $14,346. Just wanted you to know that as I try to close the year. The lease, the fire department command car, they did a early payoff of $8,846.21, as the board discussed months ago, that they were going to pay it off early and put their new car on it for next year. Water and sewer bills, monthly bills for May were sent out at $57,545.14, and those are due by May 25th. The tax warrant with the unpaid outstanding water and sewer bills as of March 31st has been sent out to Dutchess County for preparing our tax bills. The tax cap and constitutional tax limit has been filed with the New York State Comptroller's Office. So to date, I'm pretty up to date on trying to close in the year. I do have some budget amendments, and I'll just kind of go, most of them are kind of end of year, but I'll go through some of the larger ones. So I'm going to transfer from the New York Class General Fund $181,092 to the sidewalk, for the sidewalk project. That was agreed on the board months ago to be taken out of fund balance. Also, it was agreed that the capital fire was going to contribute, so I'm going to move those monies and be prepared for when this big bill comes in after they're finished. As we talked about, the fifth of 5 lease payments for the command car is paid off with $4,750 of it used sale of proceeds of the fire equipment, and $4,097 is agreed to come out of their equipment budget. The rest of these are over budget, remaining budgets. The data processing equipment line item, $19,750, will be increased, as well as the state aid, and that will be to account for the New York State grant for the tech. We have budget amendments in the water fund, and they're pretty much end of the year budget amendments, as well as in the sewer fund. That's
I'd like to make a motion to accept the budget amendments as read into the record.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's it.
That's
all.
it?
Yep.
Very good. All right, resolutions. The first resolution is for MVP renewal. For those who are not aware, this is yearly. We get a new contract with our provider and gives us a choice of multiple to choose from in terms of programs and options that we can select. What is recommended and what I am recommending tonight, which is in the budget, is to stay with the same plan that we had as last year, which is the MVP Silver Plan. The only changes to that plan is the deductible, which we cover at 100% for individual, went up $50, and for 2 or more went up $100. But it's in our budget, and we cover that. Other than that, the MVP Silver Plan, as presented this year, is the same as last year. The rate is higher. I don't think anybody here would ever see that the rates would go lower. If you do, please come and see us, because we would like to opt in. So the rate is set at 7% overall, but the average rate is 6%, which is what we included into our budget process to be able to pay for the new plan. So it's all kind of coming together.
Rate increase.
It's the rate increase.
Right.
We had that rate increase in our plan.
Correct.
Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the MVP renewal plan for the MVP EPO HCHP Silver Exchange Certified Plan in the National Network.
Second.
Discussion.
People seem satisfied.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So passed. Thank you. Vanessa, I'm going to turn it over to Mike, to you.
Okay.
Nice funds.
All right, so what I'm presenting to the board is basically a letter of public comment from us to the State Public Service Commission, the PSC. PSC oversees the allocation of monies to the NYSERDA Clean Energy Communities Program, which we participate in as a village. And they're considering a proposal to cut funding for that program, which I think is a horrible idea. Because as you can see, month after month, I come to these meetings talking about how we are motivated to take these climate actions in no small part because of this program. In addition to the grant funding that we get for doing these actions, they also provide technical services. These are experts that I turn to when I have questions, and that is free of charge for us here in the village. And it's just wading through the amount of red tape and bureaucracy is unbelievable, and these are humans who are knowledgeable and willing to help. So I really think it would be a travesty if this program goes away right when it's really working. So I'd like to make a motion that we sign on to this letter and send it up to the state.
Second.
Discussion.
Off the top of your head, do you have an idea how much money we've received through this program?
So a lot of the grants we've been getting are $5,000 grants, right? I think we've gotten at least a few of those.
Right.
Now we're getting to the point in the program where we're now unlocking grants of $50,000. And for a small municipality, that was really nothing to sneeze at. And that's the type of funding that they're proposing to cut, is particularly to smaller rural communities. And I think that's a big mistake, because we don't really have staff. We don't have a sustainability coordinator on staff. We don't have a planner like some of the other bigger cities do. So we really do rely on not just the grants, but also the technical services experts that they have. So we work with the Hudson Valley Regional Council. They have the contract through NYSERDA to provide the technical support services. And if we were paying a consultant to work on these projects with us, it would just be tens of thousands of dollars.
From what I've seen, there's pressure to not kill this program at the state level.
Good.
But our voice is also a good voice to have.
Yeah.
So I don't anticipate it going away, because it is, as Trustee Botosi said, a tremendous value add for a lot of communities. But I think we should voice our opinions in support.
Okay.
Any other discussion needed? All in favor of signing the letter to, for NYSERDA, please say aye. Aye. So passed. Next, Granicus. Again, this is a renewal. If everybody, just to remind everybody what Granicus does, Granicus is the company that is hired also by the county that monitors our short-term vacation rentals. And we are refunded by the county, and this is an agreement with the county of Dutchess to sign on to be into the program to continue to use Granicus to not only monitor ours, but then work with the county on any of those issues. So it really is a yearly renewal. It's been valuable for us to have, because we don't have the wherewithal to monitor everything. Quite honestly, the county uses it. The county gets their money because they collect the sales tax. When they collect the sales tax, they just roll that back to what our cost would be. So it's a net zero for us to have Granicus monitor our short-term vacation rentals. So I'd like to make a motion to extend the amendment agreement effective July 15, 2024, and to terminate July 14, 2025, unless otherwise terminated as set forth herein, for Dutchess to an extension and an amendment of the intermunicipal agreement with the County of Dutchess.
Second.
Discussion.
It's working.
They're finding people, right?
What?
It's working, they're finding.
Yeah, we haven't had that many hits to be, but
Yeah.
over the course of, how many, since 2018? I think it was good. We've had one, but you never know.
Carrie, is it still that we pay and then we get reimbursed?
We get
by them?
reimbursed.
It's the same?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Good.
I mean, people do ask from time to time, well, how do you know that there are, what the short-term rental situation is in the village? And the answer is, there's a company that actually is monitoring the situation
Right.
for us.
And they send all our, just the planning board, not planning board, the building planning and zoning department, they get the reports. They get, if there's somebody that's on it, they get notified. And then our zoning enforcement officer does his job. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
So passed. All right, I'm gonna pitch it for Vanessa here tonight.
You mean for Lydia?
Excuse me, Lydia, sorry. I'm looking at you. So we have a task order number 29 for comprehensive plan update. This is in accordance with our agreement with Ty and Bond back on January 17, 2020, for Ty and Bond to provide us technical support for the comprehensive plan. If you remember back in, I don't know, several months ago, we amended our 23-24 budget to add more money into the comprehensive plan budget. And this $35,000 that they're asking for in terms of this task order is covered under that budget amendment. So it's not a new expense. I'd like to make a motion to accept this task order to pay Ty and Bond for their support on the comprehensive plan, which I hope everybody has participated in and seen. If you've not, there's books for you to view at the library. There's this book here at Village Hall. There's on the board here, please come into Village Hall. You can get an update on the comprehensive plan and the work that this committee has done. But it's not over. So this is a bill to go towards the development of all of this that you're seeing as well. So I'd like to I made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
It's coming out great.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So passed. Thank you. Martina, I'm going to turn this one over to you and have a chance for the scrap.
So our superintendent of public works, Kyle Amy, has let us know that the two-wheel drive backhoe at the highway department is no longer needed, and he's requesting that we surplus and scrap it. It's the easiest thing to do. It's not really worth much. Could I have a motion?
Yeah. Is there a motion to accept the scrap of the highway number 2
Surplus
wheel?
and scrap.
Right back. What?
Surplus and scrap.
Surplus and scrap.
So moved.
Thank you.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Does that mean we're gonna try to sell it, or we're just gonna
Nope.
send it
We're
for
ju-
its iron?
Whatever we get
Whatever
from
we
the
get
scrap. but-
Scrap value.
We
Okay.
just did one like 2 months ago that was down in the water department. We did the same thing.
Right.
We actually made a couple bucks on it, but,
Right, no, it's.
Not
we've-
enough to put out to auction.
right.
Right, no, we've used it to the end.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
I didn't.
Thank you.
Vanessa. Martina, I'm going to keep you on the mic for the chainsaw sealed bids.
Yes. I'm actually going to present them to you. At the last meeting, the board agreed to post sealed bids for 3 chainsaws that were previously sent to auction that were bid on, but they were never paid for or picked up. So these 3 chainsaws went out to a sealed bid. That bid period ended May 10th. We received 2.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Karnak.
It's not Christmas.
So there's 3 total chainsaws. I tried to number them and ask that they put the number corresponding to the chainsaw that they want.
And I'm assuming we can set individual people if one bid is higher for one chainsaw or the other. We don't have to accept, say,
They're not set.
They're not set, no, that's their number. It's 1, 2, or 3, so if they didn't identify which number they want,
well, in some cases, they identified they wanted all 3, though, and somebody else did all.
they needed to bid on them individually,
They
yes.
did, yeah. Well, I just want to.
Right.
Okay, so we have 2 bids. One from Richard Deneau Senior for chainsaw number 1, $50. Chainsaw number 2, $75. Chainsaw number 3, $150. The second bid from Brendan Coffey is only for chainsaw number 3, and it's $41. So the highest bid for all 3 is from Richard Deneau for chainsaw 1, 2, and 3.
I move that we accept the bid from Richard Deneau for all 3 chainsaws.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You pass these down to Martina, please. All right, Martina, you still got the hot mic. Ethics board.
One minute.
Take your time.
Who seconded?
Eleanor seconded.
Thank you. This year, one of our ethics board member, their term is expiring at the end of this month. Their terms are staggered, so we do still have 2 other active members. We just need to open up the position to see if we can get any interested applicants for the ethics board. I'm not sure how long you'd like to leave that open. Again, the current board member who's expiring will expire on May 31st.
I'd like to make a motion to open up the position for an ethics board member and keep that open for, till June 15th, excuse me.
So when?
Then there's a second
Thank you.
discussion.
We do have a board meeting on the 11th. Do you want to see if we can fill in on the 11th? Do you want to keep it open until the 7th?
Try if you would like. Okay, good suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We could try.
We could try. We can always hold it open, right?
Right.
Especially because June 15th is a Saturday.
Oh. Another good reason.
So, yeah, so let's hold it open until the 7th.
So we're going to amend it to our next village board meeting.
Is you amending or Rick amending?
I am amending it
Okay.
on the recommendation of trustee Wood.
So you want to keep it open until the actual board meeting or the 7th?
You want to go to the 7th just so you can review anybody's there.
I mean, you'd have to set up interviews after you
That's
get them
true.
anyway, so.
Good point.
If you were trying to select somebody by the 11th, it would make sense to keep it open till the 31st and then use that week to do interviews.
I don't think it's enough time.
So do you want to keep it open until
For July.
the 14th and do it at the
25th,
at the
25th
second
meeting.
meeting?
I think
That's
that's,
probably
yeah.
makes more sense.
Okay. So amend to June 14th. Okay,
what's the date we're keeping it open to now?
the 14th.
The 14th.
Flag.
Or-
Martina, could you, just for the audience, could you say a few words about what we're looking for or what people should submit?
That's kind of difficult. So our ethics board mainly deals with financial ethics of the village. We do have a policy online that explains the ethics board, but really anybody can apply.
They have to be a resident of the village.
They do have to be resident of the village, but there's really no other precursor, I would say. Anybody who's interested.
And are you looking for like a resume and a letter of interest?
Yes, if you could submit a resume, a letter of interest is always nice to have. And those, I'll make a post about it, but it'll be turned into me by June 14th.
And they can serve how many consecutive terms?
They can serve 2 consecutive terms, and each term is 3 years.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So passed. Okay, we're into salary adjustments. Just so everybody knows, salary adjustments in terms of open meeting law are conducted in public session. And so as part of that, we will have the salary discussion for several of our staff in terms of, that are working here in the village, for the municipality of the village. If somebody so chooses to want to talk about a particular individual, we can go into executive session to talk about an individual. Otherwise, we can move forward and continue to talk about.
Aren't we on H though?
What?
H, which is village board judge.
I'm sorry, I don't understand you.
item H is not the big package, right?
You're on village board.
Yeah,
Yes.
so this will be for all the things that are posted, all the positions are posted, which include the village judge, the village board, our fire inspector, and all employee staff here in the village, in the municipality.
I'm just asking because it's two separate items on the agenda.
Yes,
That's
it's
all.
So-
office staff.
But
is
we will
I.
go through each one
That's fine.
independently.
Just asking,
Yeah.
for clarification.
Okay?
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to start with our village staff. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees, the Village of Rhinebeck, that the following full-time employees shall, upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the salaries set forth below. The salaries are effective June 1st, 2024 through June 1st, 2025. This is for village clerk, treasurer, superintendent of public works, deputy clerk, court clerk, police clerk, building planning and zoning clerk, and building planning and zoning records clerk.
Do you need a motion to accept?
And is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the salary schedule.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Yes, I have some discussion on it. Just so that the public knows, I took the total sum of the salaries from last year to this year, and that's with no FICA or any of those sorts of deductions, just based on the information we were given. And it's a 31% increase. And I just think that, you know, for transparency purposes, the public needs to know that. That did include people who are working extra hours now, projected to be working extra hours. So I tried to take those out as best I could, given the information that I had, and it came out to a 20% increase. And again, this is for transparency purposes. So if we are underpaying our staff, I'm totally for fair wages completely. The one thing I do have a problem with is that the ranges are pretty wide. We're talking about like a 3% increase all the way up to, 20 and bigger. And so I think that we need to, if we pass this, and we already went through this the last time, although that was an executive session, I think that we need to have some kind of a document so that both the employees and the public know what to expect in terms of if they pass a certification, what happens then? If they are here for 5 years, or if they're here for 2 years, what can they expect, so that everybody knows what to expect? And I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings here in thinking that I'm opposed to what they're getting, but next year you might be the person who's getting the 3% versus the 25%. And so I think you would be happy to have somebody advocating for you. So it's more about fairness. And I tried to figure out what this all, because police got a raise, that was done before I came on the board. Then we did the water, wastewater, and we did the water, wastewater, and the highway. And I added that to this package, and it's an increase of $270,000 in total salary. And again, I'm not making a judgment here, I'm just trying to be transparent, and this was to the best of my ability based on the information that I had, just so that people know, the kinds of raises and they understand.
You're actually right, Eleanor. We are being very aggressive on our wages because we were under the compensation for the position as compared to other municipalities locally. And we need to, I believe, we need to give a fair wage to everybody in our staff that is working here in the village of Rhinebeck. And what we are trying to do is bring everybody up to that level. And yes, can that change from year to year? You're absolutely right. That could change from year to year, but we are trying to bring people up to the position of what they're working towards, so they're getting an equitable pay and also being able to afford to live here in Rhinebeck.
Which is great, but I would appreciate some kind of, like a backstory. So are we comparing to Red Hook or to whom? so that we get a sense of to whom we're comparing, and we can see these numbers, because I tried to look through some different budgets from other municipalities, and it was really hard to suss things out. I also note that we originally were going to, we the trustees and the mayor, were going to get a 3% raise, and now we're going to get a 6% raise, so that we are now getting a bigger raise than.
That's not true. You're not getting 6%. We're getting 3%.
Well, it was different because it was 10,300, and then there was some more added onto that.
Yeah, so 3%, you're already 10,300, now you're going to
10,608.
10,608.
So at the 2024 total was given as 10,300, and that's not what it.
No, it's 10,608.
All right. I'm just going by what was on the document that I received.
So these are what's posted, and you had received an email with all of the numbers as well.
Right, but I'm just saying that it said 2024 total, it said 10,300, so maybe that was just a mistake.
No, 23-24 was 10,300. 24-25 is projected to be 10,608, paid quarterly.
Are you looking at the spreadsheet that I sent, Eleanor?
I'm looking at this sheet here. And I guess I'm not understanding this 10,300 there.
Yeah, so this was the original projection of 10,300, right? But you add the 3%, it takes it up to 10,608.
But what do you mean the projection?
So you are being paid at 10,300 today. That's your current rate
Okay,
for 23, 24.
okay.
24, 25,
All right.
you
Well,
get a 3%.
that's fine, all right,
Yeah.
then I take that back. But then the other thing that I would like to talk about is the salary for the justice who's.
So can we do these at one at a time? Right now, we're talking about our village staff.
That's why I asked for, which we were doing. We
That's
said
why
we're doing
I read
all
the
together.
resolution, that's why I read this
Okay,
resolution
fine.
for
All
village
right,
staff.
That's fine.
Can you, fine, but I'm asking you to hold that comment. till we get
I
there.
will hold that comment.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll hold
Okay.
that comment.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Where are we? Did we have a first and a second for these, for the village
Well,
staff?
can I just make
Yeah.
one more comment? Okay. I guess the reason, I thought we were doing the judge first, and the reason I really do want to talk about that is because I think that what we should do is not get a raise then and put the money toward the judge. I have to admit that I did vote for that resolution that was presented, that change in the budget, but I have to be honest, I'm new on the board, and if it had been explained to me the way it came out in the minutes, I would have completely understood what happened. But when it was talked about, we're going to move this to line, that line, and that one to that line, and that line to that line, I guess I lost the train of thought, and I did not realize that the judge was not getting the 20,000 as was posted, you know, for the budget. And so I apologize, I voted in error, and I know I made a mistake. I'd like to correct it by saying that we could at least not give ourselves a raise and put it toward that, and then maybe next year we can adjust it up further.
When we get there, we'll vote on each one independently. Okay?
That's fine.
Yeah.
But then we'll have approved ours, and then we can.
I just took them out of my staff. You want to talk about the judge next? I'm happy to bring that one up next.
All right.
Right now, we're talking about village staff.
Okay.
So we had a first and a second.
Yes.
Any other discussion on village staff?
So, I just wanted to reiterate something, which is I've been looking at the salaries for a while, and yes, we had actually been chronically underpaying people for a long time. We've been working pretty hard to bring people up to competitive rates with folks around us. And I can certainly tell you that when I first started on the board, at some of the initial salaries that we were offering for some of the positions I had, we were not competitive with McDonald's. We were not competitive with a fast food job. So we really have been trying to be competitive in the market for these jobs. And that's, I think, part of what's important about this, is that the market, the rates get set around us, and we need to be competitive, so when we hire people, we get good people.
So there's that, like bringing people up to competitive rates, but also inflation. There's also people working, doing their job very well and deserving of raises. So I think that it's kind of multifaceted. I like Eleanor's idea of having some guidance for the board to refer to in regards to like what counts as seniority, you know, if you're a village staff person, what counts as a bump for that, for a number of years of service, what counts for, you know, certification that you get or a particular achievement that you've been able to gain on the job. So I think that's a good idea.
Are you, excuse me one second, so you're aware that this does not include longevity?
Yeah.
So we do pay longevity on time, and that's an escalating scale in terms of payment for
Is that for
years of
village
service.
staff as well as
Yes.
like police department?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's across the board for everybody,
Okay,
Right, that's what
except for us.
right.
Right. That was section 124 that we passed by resolution, lists all those rules and all of that
Yeah,
information.
oh, sure, I remember because I
about-
objected to no longevity at 25, but
Right, so, but the things that you're mentioning are covered in section 124, which we passed by resolution. So there's a bunch of the questions that you're asking are enumerated in that section.
I just see, you know, just really extreme cases of, you know, 3% to way, way higher. So I'm just concerned that because if you know, personnel sees that, there could be some discontent.
And the point being made that we're trying to bring people up to the position as it is in the marketplace. So some were higher, some were lower, and we had to make those adjustments.
Yeah, I mean, it's different from other workplaces where everybody sees what everybody's making, right? So there's going to be some
It's tough,
uncomfortableness
yeah.
around that.
Definitely. And we don't have a lot of people at one type of job. There's like a one of.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we need a little
Welcome
bit
to,
of
welcome
guidance.
to, welcome to village government.
That's why I think we need a little bit of guidance to,
Yeah, we don't have that staff.
so that we know we're being consistent. I just want consistency. I want equity. That's what I'm looking for.
And I appreciate your point, because I believe what we're trying to do is bring equity here to people to be in a competitive position. Any other discussion? All in favor of accepting the resolution for our full-time village staff employees, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. Let's take care of another one. This be resolved that the Board of Trustees, Village of Rhinebeck, that the following part-time employees shall effectively, upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the salary set forth in the table below. The salaries, again, are effective June 1st, 2024 through June 1st, 2025. And this is for our fire inspector to get an increase that's competitive for his class.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
In the market.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so approved. Okay. Now, do you want to talk about the judge? Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck, that the following elected officials shall, upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the yearly compensation set forth effective June 1st, 2024, and this is Village of Rhinebeck Judge.
So moved.
Can I
Oh, I'm sorry.
just have a motion first?
Oh, I'm sorry, motion, yes.
Do I have a second?
I did, yes, I moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, now discussion.
Okay.
Okay, I just I don't need to reiterate, or should I reiterate my discussion?
So can I comment on what, because we have this in the budget process, and it's a specific line item in the budget, we can't go above the line item, right? We can stay below the line item, but it's expected that we will pay what's in that line item. So if this was to be changed, it would have had been changed in the budget process.
Well, it was, like I said, mea culpa, I thought it was. I looked at the budget and it said $20,000, so I thought it was satisfied. That's all I can say.
It's okay.
I think,
That's all right.
I think it's, I hope this has nothing to do with that whole upset over the court consolidation. I hope that, I hope that we're just looking at this in a
actually,
strictly professional way.
we're-
The man has not had a raise since 2015. Nobody's contradicted that statement that he made. He's getting a very small raise compared to other people. but-
It's getting a 6.6%.
Right, but not, but
Right.
but I looked at, this was one item. I did find that it is true that people are getting 20,000, so that around, some other municipalities. That part I checked, was able to ascertain is true.
So noted. Thank you. All in favor of a Village Rhinebeck judge, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Nay.
or I am opposed.
Yeah, right. Nay, I think I would say nay.
All right. Okay. Last one, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck, that the following mayor and trustees shall, upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive compensation set forth below. The compensations are effective June 1st, 2024 through June 1st, 2025. This is for the mayor, deputy mayor, trustee, and trustees.
So moved.
3%. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion.
Sounds good.
All in favor of accepting the resolution to, for the board to be, get a 3%, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So noted. Thank you all. Okay. All right. Most of the board, you've been now, and we're moving on to what's called current projects. The first one is the Center Street Update Project. I think everybody's been aware of what's going on outside around them. You're seeing our sidewalks and our aprons and our driveway into the firehouse and all of that going on pretty well. I hope everybody is satisfied with what they're seeing and what they're observing that we're doing to improve not only accessibility, but replace what was deteriorating in our sidewalks and our aprons and so forth around Village Hall. We had a previous schedule, and that previous schedule has been modified because we've made amendments to this project. We've added curbing, we've added sidewalks through the driveway entrances, and we've now added a driveway into the firehouse. So all that has amended the schedule that we were on. So currently, in this schedule is a new schedule dated May 7th, 2024, which has, I'm not going to go through them all, but it demobilized and everything completed by May 31st of this month. There was one exception which I brought to note to the contractor, and that was to prep and pave the blacktop, which is Center Street on both sides. So Center Street is due to be prepped and paved from May 24th to May 29th. My concern with that, it interferes with Memorial Day and a Memorial Day parade. And if they do the milling and we don't get the paving done, it creates a hazard for us here in terms of traffic and walking and walkability and that kind of stuff. So I met with the contractor, and the contractor has agreed that if they can't get it done by May 27th, they will then amend the schedule and do this the 28th and the 29th so that we don't have that interruption. So it's the only change to this schedule in terms of completing this by May 31st 2024. Those who have seen, we poured the second half of the apron already, which puts them a little bit ahead of schedule. That was due to be done on the 16th and today being the 14th. So they're kind of a little bit of ahead of schedule, but I'll take that. Any questions on the Center Street project?
It's looking really good.
Yeah.
It's going pretty well. Yeah. Okay. These are just updates, and if you have any questions on that. All right. Moving on, the water and wastewater upgrades. This has been going on quite some time. You're going to start seeing monthly updates because we now have kind of a rapport with Delaware Engineering, and when we meet with them, they are giving us a one-page update, which is posted onto the cloud. This is a summary because we have detailed discussions with them on a regular basis in terms of both projects. I'm really pleased the way Delaware Engineering is working with our departments, both our water department and our wastewater department, and the communication that we're receiving in terms of that project schedule, and as it's moving along. This is important. We're spending a lot of money on these projects, and if you look at the invoices, you're going to see a detailed invoice in terms of what that invoice is paid for. Before, we were not getting that. We were paying a bill and not knowing what was being done. Now you're going to see a detailed invoice as well that identifies how that money was spent for this month. But for the water department and our upgrade project, we've identified a scope of work, a total cost of $6,456,000. And today, they have completed the design submission to New York State Department of Health. They've also completed a resubmission because there was comments that came back from New York State Department of Health that was completed in March, and currently that redesign and those changes and suggestions that came back are back in front of the New York State Department of Health. We're expecting that by June. So essentially, when we get comments back from the Department of Health, that'll kind of put us at the 50% mark of that. So we're waiting any day. There's a lot of correspondence going on now with the comments from Department of Health. You'll see that the schedule has been moved out. We do have a buffer of about 6 weeks in our schedule in terms of what we originally set it for. We've now moved out 4 weeks of that schedule. So instead of a construction completion in October of 2025, construction completion is now scheduled for November of 2025. All right. So we're watching that very closely in terms of not only the cost, the scope of work, and the date in terms of schedule. Karen.
So are they in communication with EFC so that we're okay with converting it to long-term funding with that extension?
I'm seeing the correspondence with EFC, so yes,
Okay,
they are submitting that paperwork on our behalf to EFC.
okay,
Yep,
good.
yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I took a tour, and those Archimedean screws are pretty neat, but they're pretty old.
This is we're talking about the water treatment plant right now.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about the wastewater plant.
Yeah.
Lot thinner, so I understand that.
Yeah.
Yep. So hold 1 second, right? Any other questions on the water treatment plant?
This is better.
Okay, so you're going to see these updates on a regular basis now going forward. They're kind of like a good project management plan that's coming out of Delaware Engineering and being reviewed with us here. And Kyle, myself, the water department people, as well as wastewater department people on a regular basis. Okay? All right. Let's segue into our wastewater treatment plan upgrade. So we've identified the scope of work. This took a redesign. If everybody remembers, we originally went forward for $5 million for our wastewater treatment plant in terms of the upgrades, working with our staff who really defined the operation and Camo Engineering, who is on staff with it as well. This project has been redefined to $3 million, okay, instead of $5 million. So that's a significant change. But we've identified the key ingredients in terms of the wastewater treatment plant needs in terms of its operation. And these are reviewed on a regular basis as well. So the schedule for that You'll see the design submission to New York State DEC was scheduled for April. It has now gone out and it's now in front of DEC in the month, this month. So there's been a delay, but that's been 100% in terms of completion as to completing that and getting out to that to DEC. The next milestone is to get the comments back from, excuse me, New York State DEC, which we don't expect until October. And then construction start March of 2025 and construction completion March 2026.
So that might slip again if there are comments from the
Correct.
DEC, so
Yes.
we'll just take that as,
And
cross
that's
that
why,
bridge when we get to it.
that's why we set all these milestones. And you know, there's a lot of detailed milestones in terms of this project. I didn't bring the detailed line by line forward. I brought the big milestones forward, which include design submission to DEC, when we go out to bid, the bid opening, the bid award, construction start, and construction completion as the major milestones. And that's true for each of those projects, right? Again, just like the water department, I'm really satisfied with the interaction that our people have had in terms of putting input into this design process and getting their recommendations adopted and accepted. And so this project is moving forward. We did a walkthrough just a week ago. There's some cosmetic things which we will probably add to this in terms of some concrete laying and that kind of stuff, but not in terms of operation. More of some maintenance stuff we will add in terms of replacing some existing concrete. But please start getting used to seeing these, because you're going to get these on a regular basis, so everybody's informed of the progress that we're making or not making, whatever the case may be, on both these.
Question, yeah, so my question was, what is the life of those big screws that carry that?
God, I have no clue.
The only reason I ask is because if we're doing an upgrade, what it makes, I mean, who wants to add another $1 million to the project? I sure don't, but should we be thinking about replacing those?
We did, we discussed those screws, and so just so everybody knows, there's two screws. When the fluid comes into the headworks, right, and it goes through a grinder, it comes out as a slurry, and then it has to go through these screws. It's an elevation rise of maybe 10 feet, and it carries it up to the oxidation ditches for then the bugs can have at it. You're talking about those individual screws. So it takes one screw to operate the plant. And it doesn't take both screws, so we alternate between screw one, screw two, and back and forth on a regular basis because we want to keep them exercised so they don't deteriorate and or rust. We looked at the lifespan of those, and it was deemed by not only our staff, but the review with the engineering and everything, that these things were capable of getting us through a long time yet, given that we're only using them 50% of the time. Does that help?
Yeah, I just, like a long time, is that 10 or 20? It's a long, I'm just wondering, I mean, obviously, like I said, if they're in good condition, we don't want to change them.
They're in great condition and well maintained, and I think it's like your roof. I'm not going to predict how long your roof is going to last because things change, but it was felt by everybody that we didn't need to upgrade the screws. And that originally was on the list, and we took it off the list because of the condition. So that's a good question.
So Gary, could I just add that the wastewater treatment plant is also doing an asset inventory at this time too. So we got a grant to do an asset inventory. So they'll probably start at the headworks and collection seas and go down through that. So we are doing a comprehensive inventory, and we're getting help with New York State. So I think that would also help address if any of these things need to be replaced and when the period of probable usefulness ends, or
We've got both Camo and Delaware looking at the plan.
So Camo is overviewing operation.
Right, but they have a sense for this stuff too.
And they also worked with us on providing input into the operational changes that we needed. The big ticket items are, we're going to replace the bar screen. So the bar screen, when the fluid comes into the headwork project, it goes through a grinder. That grinder itself is is a big task, because today what we have to do is, what they have to do, not we, our guys that do a great job, they have to manually take everything out of there in terms of how it works. The bar screen, the mechanical bar screen will help improve that process and provide a better operation for us. And that goes into that, it's a small building at the far end of the plant, okay? So then it goes into the screws that Eleanor was talking about and into the oxidation ditches. The other big expense is in the sand filters. The sand filters are in what looks like our greenhouse. There's 2 sand filters in there. Each sand filter is rated at 1 million gallons. We don't need 1 million gallons, but both of them provide. Those sand filters are built with stainless steel tanks, and they're rusting away. We need to replace the sand filters with concrete, and that is one of the big expenses that's going into this project. The next big expense is in terms of the UV and updating the UV as part of that, which treats the influent before it goes out the door. Okay? There's no changes to our sludge process and collecting the sludge and hauling that away.
Just another question. So some of these repairs, even though they're expensive, would they bring down the electrical use or anything like that? Is there somewhat of an offset at all, or no?
No.
Delaware said that at the water treatment plant,
At the water treatment plant, yes.
that we would see some greater
Right.
efficiencies.
Not at the wastewater treatment plant. The water treatment plant, we're becoming more automated, and when we automate it, there's going to be a better efficiency of it. And we're slowing down the process, which means your demand isn't as high. So as you slow down the process, as the water goes through the filtration process, we're going to get efficiencies there. I'm glad you went there. Got to see what it's like. Pretty cool, right?
Very interesting.
Okay. Any questions on water treatment and wastewater? I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on it because you're going to start to see these on a regular basis. Okay. We added a FOIL law update, and Trustee Slaby was going to talk about this, but essentially, I'm just going to introduce the subject today because we're not going to act on any of this. But what this is our village law currently allows 10 days to respond to FOILs. New York State requires 20 days, right? We would like to move towards the 20 day because it gives us time to respond and handle that. So stay tuned, there's going to be more discussion on that changing of what is currently in our code to adopt to what the state has been using. Okay? Introduction, any questions on the intro?
Another topic is just to add an additional records access officer. Right now I'm the only one, which is fine, except for the fact that specific FOILs get sent over to the police department, so rather have them go through me just to do what they need to end up doing. It's proposed to add Sergeant Dunn as the records access officer for the police department.
Good one, thank you. More to follow. All right, so if the board doesn't mind, I'd like to jump ahead a little bit to committees because we have a guest here this evening, and I don't want to have that our chairman of the Autism Supportive Committee sit here for another half hour, 45 minutes, unless you really want to hang out, Joe. I'm willing to pull the schedule ahead in honor of you to give us an update on the Autism Supportive Committee, if you would so choose.
I'd be happy to, and I'll defer to the mayor in terms of the how you'd like me to present. But I'm prepared to go ahead right now if you'd like.
I would. Don't want to keep. I'm in recognition of your time. I don't want to keep you.
No problem. I have just a sink full of dirty dishes at home from when I get out of here, so I'm not in any huge rush. But thank you. My pleasure to reintroduce myself to the village board. My name is Joe Phelan. And I have the privilege of being the chair of the Village of Rhinebeck Autism Supportive Community Committee. I think we're a little past 4 years now, if my mental math is working. This village committee has the goal of supporting and expanding understanding of the residents and the visitors to our village who are on the autism spectrum. And I won't presume to go through any kind of expansive explanation of autism, because it's really quite a complicated matter, so much so that we have, since the very beginning, been partnering with the Anderson Center for Autism, just down Route 9 a bit, to provide us with technical expertise, and I would defer any technical questions to Anderson. I'm not a qualified autism spectrum expert. However, as members of the community, we've been doing a number of things over the last 4+ years to bring an increased awareness of the challenges that both our residents and visitors to our village face every day, depending on where on the autism spectrum they're at. And it's called a spectrum because it's a wide range of needs and abilities and disabilities, if you want to use that politically incorrect term these days, that people who come to our village, want to shop in our stores, have a meal in one of our restaurants, have to deal with, because it's they're navigating the world in a way that most of us who are not on the autism spectrum navigate the world. And we want to make our village a more welcoming place and raise the awareness of people who live here and visit here of what some of the challenges are for people on the autism spectrum. To jump right to the chase, one of the things we're doing this year is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Wednesday, is it not? Yeah. Tomorrow we are holding the second job fair. We're holding it, the first one we held 2 years ago over at Brookmead. The job fair we're holding tomorrow is being held at Rhinebeck High School, but it's not just for people on the autism spectrum. It's not just for students. It's for anybody who is looking to work, looking for employment, as well as any businesses or organizations in our village who are looking to hire people, whether they're on the spectrum or not. It's an inclusive job fair. Anybody and everybody is welcome to attend this job fair tomorrow from, I think, 2:45 to about 6 p.m. The Rhinebeck Central School District, another one of our partners, has graciously allowed us to use a part of their real estate in the high school to conduct this job fair. First off, because we hope that students who are looking for employment will feel welcome to come to the job fair and get more information from employers, as well as for people who are on the spectrum. We've been promoting this countywide, not just in the village, but we hope that we'll have a good showing not only from village residents, but village visitors, as well as businesses who conduct business here in the village of Rhinebeck. So that's happening tomorrow. It will be the second of two that we've done over 3 years. In terms of our partners, I mentioned Anderson Center for Autism. There are a number of others that we are working with, one being the Rhinebeck Area Chamber of Commerce. I mentioned the Rhinebeck Central School District, Ramapo for Children, the Rhinebeck Lions Club, the Star Library, and a number of the businesses in the village of Rhinebeck, which we're working with to try to provide them with the opportunity to become more autism sensitive and friendly through a variety of initiatives. Part of that is education and outreach on the part of the committee. We have held informational tables and presentations at a number of the, not all of them, but a number of the after hours and before hours that, that our chamber has been having, to be there as a presence, to explain what we do, to be a source of information for them. At the most recent Taste of Rhinebeck event, we held an informational table there, again, to get the word out to our community that people on the autism spectrum, A, visit our community, B, live in our community, and need our support. So that's really our global goal, is to raise the profile and the needs of those who are on the autism spectrum. We've also partnered and are partnering with the Rhinebeck Lions Club on a very in-depth process of looking at the mini park just down from the middle school, high school, which needs quite a bit of work, not only regardless of people on the autism spectrum, but especially for children and older folks who are on the spectrum. So the Lions have been a great partner to work with on that, and we're in the process of developing concepts, engaging children at our school, as well as professional playground developers, to work towards coming up with a concept that will meet the needs of all people in our community. So that's ongoing. I would also mention, just to make sure all the board is up to speed on this, our funding for the work we do is all as a result of grant writing and donations. We do not have a line item in the village budget, and I'm not saying that good, bad, or indifferent. It's just the way we were set up, and we have gotten several grants from the Thompson Trust, which we're nearing towards the end of our second 2-year grant from them. We have gotten donations from the Chamber of, the Rhinebeck Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're not a fundraising organization, but we write grants when we can, and we accept donations where we're able to, and that's a constant challenge for us, because engaging the expertise of people who have a very granular understanding of autism and how best a community can meet the needs of those individuals, be they residents or visitors, is a very specific science that does cost money for us to engage their help in doing training and planning programs for these individuals. Did I miss anything? I've probably gone on nothing nearly as compelling as the wastewater discussion from earlier today. I actually learned something from that, so I appreciate being here for that. There are 12 members of this village committee, and they come from a variety of different backgrounds. Some of us educators or retired educators, some of us social media folks. We have a pretty broad spectrum, not to overuse the term spectrum, of people with backgrounds to try to help our community become more sensitive to, friendly to, understanding of the residents and the visitors to our community who are on the autism spectrum. So without going on much more than that, if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, as long as you don't throw any really technical hardballs at me. I'd have to I'd have to bunt in that case, but
Just out of curiosity, do you know what percentage of the population?
yeah, that number actually has been changing over the 4 years that our committee has been in existence, and it's not because of anything that's going on, good or bad or indifferent in Rhinebeck. Just generally speaking, I think the latest numbers is 1 in 39 individuals. And remember, we're not just, good question, because we're not just talking about children. I think there's this misconception that only children are on the autism spectrum, but plenty of very, very high-functioning adults are on the spectrum, but they have that same spectrum of needs when they go to shop in the store or come to visit a tourist-heavy population center like Rhinebeck. Also, we are, if not one of the first municipality to have a committee such as this, and we're getting calls from different parts of the United States wanting to know, so how are you doing that? What are you doing? How are you getting your business community to buy in? I mean, dozens of questions that we're getting calls from way far away from Rhinebeck want to know how we're doing what we're doing. And this is the kind of job that's not going to be done in 2 more years or 4 more years. I mean, this is a long-term commitment to people and the needs of people. And we're also convinced that when businesses in a community embrace being aware of individuals on the autism spectrum, that it's going to be better for business as well. Because if you walk around the village and you see those round medallions that a number of the businesses have on their store doors or windows that identifies them as an autism-friendly business, we have received a lot of positive feedback from visitors to the village saying, you know what, I saw that on the door of that restaurant, and that's where I took my family to have a meal. Because we have a child on the autism spectrum, and we know we'll be taken care of there and treated with respect. And that's exactly what we're trying to, that's the culture we're trying to generate and expand here in the village of Rhinebeck. But thank you for your question. That's a very good one. Anybody else? Thank you very much for your time, and it's a pleasure working with this cause in our village. Thank you.
I'm going to stay on the committees while we're there. Vanessa, do you want to go into your climate?
Thanks. So on the cloud, you'll see my monthly climate update. Ryan from Building Planning Zoning asked me to share something. It is that time of year when folks ask me about No Mow May. And to propose that the village board overturn a piece of our village code, chapter 37, which basically says that you need to cut your grass at least every 3 weeks between May 15th and September 15th, and that grass and weeds shouldn't be higher than 10 inches. And I just want to state for the record, I actually don't support changing the law, and here's why. My take on No Mow May, however tempting it is to think about sitting back and not mowing your lawn. I get it. Just not mowing your lawn does not actually create pollinator habitat per se. I think we can do better, which is I would encourage folks to chip away at their lawn by getting rid of the grass and actually permanently replacing it with pollinator habitat, native plants, flowering trees, and native plants will actually create more habitat than just letting your lawn get full of invasives is probably what you would end up with. So yes, creating pollinator habitat, it does take some maintenance. However, native plants are suited to this area, so they don't need a lot of mulching or watering. They should be hardy to this area. But you're gonna have to weed for invasives. That's just something that we're living with nowadays. So, sure, yes, leave some dandelions, let your grass grow to 10 inches during the season. That's fine, especially for those early pollinators that are emerging earlier and earlier and sometimes out of sync with flowers and flowering trees. So yes, leave some dandelions, but I don't encourage people to just not mow their lawn. I wanted to share a resource, which I know Hudson Valley Pilot also shared, which is called Pollinate HV, and it's a website that has a lot of how-to information about how to start minimizing your lawn, minimizing your mowing, but really intentionally creating pollinator habitat. Any questions about that? Okay. I also wanted to bring up an item. We're still working on the CAPI project. Our task force is now working on two aspects. One is the climate adaptation plan. So this is what are we going to do in preparation for the now inevitable climate impacts like flooding, heat emergencies, and that sort of thing. So if anybody's interested in that, please reach out to me. That's an ongoing project. The other piece we're doing is a community-wide climate action plan, and this mostly focuses on our shared emissions here in the community. So not just talking about what their government exactly controls, that's our government operations climate action plan, this is community-wide. So did you know 44% of our community-wide emissions come from transportation? And then the next biggest sector is from heating and cooling of buildings. And then there are other little items like solid waste and better stewardship of natural resources. So this is another project we're working on. Because it's community-wide and not all just within the control of us here, we need to reach out to community partners. For example, the school district, Chamber of Commerce. I had a great meeting with the Chamber of Commerce this morning. So this is another project if volunteers are interested in working on it. This really is going to take the whole village. So I just wanted to also give the heads up to the board that I'll be reaching out to different stakeholders in the community, and that this hopefully will be a big deal. A lot of the actions that will probably be recommended a lot of them are echoed in the comprehensive plan, which is great because those two plans can really reinforce each other. So this is something that I'll be reporting on for the coming months. And if anybody has ideas, other stakeholders or community partners that I should reach out to, please let me know.
Thank you. Okay. I mentioned the comprehensive plan. I'd like to give huge thanks to the comprehensive plan committee for conducting 2 public hearings, Wednesday a week ago and the last one, well, Sunday and Wednesday. They were very well attended by a lot of people in terms of, reviewing the plan. I think it was very well presented. It's been commented that nobody's seen a plan like this before in terms of how it's been presented and with the graphics that are here and the visual displays and the amount of input that went into the development of that. So thank you to Trustee Slavy for being the architect and organizing that, and the comprehensive plan committee for 2+ years to be able to put this together. I want to make note that, again, the comment section is open until May 19th. There was an email put out, Thriving Village of Rhinebeck, NY. I can get it for you if you need it, but there's a email that you can still send comments in until up to May 19th. That'll be received by the board, by the comprehensive plan committee, and then they'll work on synthesizing all of that information and reporting back to us. So that's all I'm going to say on the comprehensive plan.
It is our thriving future at villageofrhinebeckny.gov. Our thriving future.
Tree Commission.
Okay, Tree Commission met last night, so we don't have a full set of minutes available to review, but there was one application for removal that did come in from 47 Arnett Road. The Tree Commission went out, took a look at it, they received some letters actually from a certified arborist, and the commission recommends that the board approve the removal of the tree at 37 Arnett Road. Do I have a motion?
Motion, so approved.
Second.
Second, okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you, and we'll
Yeah.
have full minutes next meeting.
Good, thank you. Okay, we're gonna back up to special requests. Martina, I don't have the filming rain date online.
May 28th,
May 28th?
yes.
And this is the rescheduled date. Right.
No, so that is just, it's literally just a backup. So
The
their
back-
rescheduled date is May 21st. It should be going on. I've sat with Sergeant Dunn and the applicant. They are all set for May 21st. She made mention in our meeting to add a rain date just in case, and she would like that to be May 28th,
Okay. Is there any action we need to take?
just to approve the rain date.
Oh. Motion to approve the rain date for the filming. Do I have a second?
28th?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is the day
Because-
after Memorial Day.
Okay.
They'll have removed barricades and stuff, that's not gonna let it get
No.
in their shop.
Right.
That shouldn't be an issue.
It's the Tuesday.
Is it the yeah, day after.
Gotcha.
So no, there's gonna be some police support down at, it's done down at the Beekman, right?
Yes.
And it's just gonna be one car driving up, dropping people off, showing that, so there'll be
Okay.
some minor closures, no street closures.
All right, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Next is the Lions Club. The Lions Club would like to hold a club picnic, application by Frank Intervello. Actually, it's a Lions Club and a rubber duck race. Roger? Is that good? You're putting them into Landsman Kill and they're gonna go how far?
Just in the Lions Park.
A little rubber ducks. Yeah, cool. All right, so it's the annual picnic for members of the Lions Club with the rubber duck race as part of the festivities. To contact Roger Kwan. Here, the event is set, event time is at 3 p.m. on,
No, I think it's set up at 9:30.
setup time is at 9:30, event start time is at 11 a.m. Thank you. Right, and event end time is 3 p.m.
Correct.
Right. Estimated number of people is 50 to 60 people. I'm looking for the date.
June 8th.
Tuesday, the right day.
Where is it? Oh, above. 6/8, June 8th, I'm sorry. Title was up here, date was, the application was dated June 8th, so that's confusing to me.
Ah, good.
So the event date is June 8th, 2024. I'd like to make a motion to accept the Lions Club use of the mini park for their Lions Club picnic and rubber duck race.
Second.
Second.
Discussion?
All the ducks will be collected at the end of the race.
Absolutely, we're going to reuse them here after your vote.
Nice.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so passed, thank you.
We hope you enter a duck.
Have to customize.
Everyone can see that.
No, it's not just Lions Club's members.
Yeah, it says Lions Club members. You didn't say it's open to the public.
I'm sorry?
You made a comment that you wanted somebody to enter in a rubber ducky,
Yeah.
but it says Lions Club members.
Uh,
So is it open to the public?
I don't know, what did Frank put on? Yeah, it's open to the public, but,
Well, it says annual picnic for members of the Lions.
Yeah,
Club.
it says for members.
okay. So should we amend that? Or
I don't have to register a dog.
You guys can put that on your posting for when you actually post at the actual event. It doesn't matter if it's,
Yeah, I don't think people will be looking here for information about your event.
Okay,
yeah, the event itself is approved by the board.
okay.
There you go.
Okay. BMS Assemble Concert. This again is for the Buckley Middle School and Rhinebeck High School Music Department by Marla Ulrich and Dan Conroy to hold the Rhinebeck Middle and High School students will be performing small ensembles and solos for their end of the year project. They wanted to also use our Rhinebeck mini park. The date is June 12th, 2024, from 1 o'clock, from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. I'd like to make a motion to accept the BMS RHS Music Department ensemble concert. at the park.
Second.
This is normally held over by the Doughboy, but they didn't have enough space.
It would have been great to have it there. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, we had a late edition ad. This is for a Doughboy poster. We had a gentleman from Red Hook
Yes.
who would like to, who has created a poster. This gentleman has created a poster of all of the people in Rhinebeck who have served from every war, I believe. And it's like 30 people or more that are on his poster that have died in service. And he would like to place the poster at the Doughboy. It's a one-day event for when we have the Memorial Day Parade. And we've been working with the gentleman. The only thing we asked is that he also work in conjunction with the Legion, because the Legion also does some work. So that is happening as we speak tonight at their meeting. But he has filled out an application to place a sign. If the Legion comes back and said thumbs up, I would like a motion that we also give this thumbs up for this gentleman to place the poster over at the Doughboy during the Monday the 27th for the Memorial Day Parade.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
So done. Thank you. Grants. We had a new grant. The Village of Rhinebeck Fire Department submitted a grant. Back up here a second. We don't have that one on here. Basically, Assemblyperson Sarah Hannes Teresa reached out to the fire department and is soliciting for grants for up to $25,000.
We applied for 23.
And we applied for $23,000 for equipment. It is a reimbursable grant, which means we have to spend the money to get reimbursed if it's so approved. And this grant has been submitted to them for equipment.
It's a grant through Sarah Hunn's office.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is through her office. No approval needed. We've submitted the grant. We hope we get it. Okay? We hope they get it. All right, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 9th, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I can't do the next one, Rick, because I need to abstain for 4/23/24. Can you do that for me?
Okay, certainly. I would like to make a motion to approve the agenda been here.
4/23/24.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes for 4/23/24. Do I have a second?
Second.
Martina, you saw my little edit?
Fixed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any additional discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain,
Gotcha.
because I was not here. All right.
Motion
Thank you.
carries.
All right. Getting towards the end, but it's always great to recognize those people who have anniversaries. And for this month, I'd like to recognize our Superintendent of Public Works, Kyle Amy, for having completed 2 years in the Village of Rhinebeck. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you for all you're doing. It's a tough job managing a lot of projects that are going on because we are always busy here in the Village of Rhinebeck. So thank you, Kyle. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our Village of Rhinebeck board meeting at 8 p.m. May 14th.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Correspondence on file. Thank you all.